Laws coming in with kind of facts, actually. But thank you guys so much for showing up this morning. Thanks for saying good morning right off the bat. Brian even calling me a handsome fella, man. I love being buttered up. And it's a good thing we're getting buttered up because today we might see some of that positivity that Brian's given, and maybe that goes into the actual market and we can target an upside daily expected move. Remember that we have pretty much formed a base here for the 30-minute chart, a little bit complex, still far away from the center line, so we want to be open to little pullbacks and things like that, right? As we take back the 5, if we can see that extended move, which we are at this moment, we really want to see if we use something in this area. And the funny thing is, if you were paying attention, we do have some things coming out this morning. We have Monday, March 3rd at 8:45, aka 15 minutes after the open for myself because I'm Central Time. We will get the global manufacturing PMI final, and then at 9 a.m., which is 30 minutes after the open, no matter where you're at, ISM manufacturing PMI will come out. Now that is supposed to come down a little bit, so we'll see how people do react to this. But as of this moment, the most probable thing going forward that we know is the 2-hour can cross up, right? As long as this 30-minute remains up, it can possibly form, you know, little head and shoulders and things like that. But there is the opportunity that if we get good news, we could blow past some of this, use it as support to get to that weekly expected move for the SPY. So we'll see. And this is where we're going to talk about that dead cat bounce possibly failing, right? Because if we do see that extended move right away, especially early on in the week, like this thing just goes straight up by maybe even it hits that by Tuesday, late Tuesday or late Wednesday, maybe early Wednesday, actually. This 2-hour might just be something like this right by that center line. And if we get some bad news that crosses back down, that can be something to pay attention to. Now, Japan getting some info this week. Later on in the week, ISM Services PMI will come out Wednesday. That one is supposed to actually be kind of even with the previous or ticking down, I think. One saying down, one saying up. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. We'll see what happens with that one. And then obviously Friday, the end of the week is going to be very important. March 7th, we do get the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate. Okay, those two will be very, very important, and we're getting those numbers for February. So we'll see if unemployment actually does tick up. I'm a little bit worried about unemployment because some businesses, I've seen a lot of things about businesses talking about layoffs. I don't know if they've really taken place yet. I need to do a little more research there. But we can see that if unemployment was to tick up, maybe due to the deportations or something like that, we'll see if those people are in that calculation. If we are in a vulnerable spot and we get that bad data, it can be something bad up towards these areas. So if you really want this to be bullish, I think you want it to hold structure all week long, maybe see that pullback going into Friday, and then we kind of shrug that off and head in the upward direction, right? Maybe we're able to see a bigger move and get to here, see a mean pullback, and then able to go to the upside with some kind of cupping and handling. So paying attention to a lot of things, right? But if we just follow our signals and we pay attention to if things are curling up at key levels, we can really, really get a good hang of which way this market wants to go. And as of right now, the most likely thing was to head to the upside daily expected move. And still right now with that 2-hour cross, even if we do see this 30-minute curl down, it still is the most probable thing to potentially curl back up, right? The structure looks really good. You have a nice base here. So we'll see what happens throughout this overall move. For the Qs, if you needed weekly or daily expected moves, you do have 523.94 to the upside and 492.40 to the downside. For the daily expected moves, 513.79. We have 502.55, and we notice that most likely the Qs, I want to see that extension. So what I want to see is I want to see the Qs get to this daily expected move, go past it, go to something like 520, 519.50, right? Go to these areas, then use it to kind of build back over time. I think that's the best way to get to that weekly expected move at this moment. So we'll be paying attention to it. But that's what I see for the time being, because if the Qs could extend past that, that would allow the SPY to really be able to get to that move, since the Qs are just a little bit closer at this point. So still watching the same thing, still another complex base at this moment, a little bit extended of a base. So if that 2-hour does cross up, we still need to be paying attention to if that fails at some point, okay? We still want to be paying attention to if that fails, because you can see a nice move up, and then that could end up with a nice move down to create that stronger base, really rip people around, get them nice and bearish with the downturn, and then make a base. So we'll be paying attention to these type of things. We'll be really watching for it. We'll be paying attention to if we see resistance come in at any of the points with the weekly or daily expected moves. Hopefully everyone's ready for a good day. Whoa, chat. Morning, ADP jobs tomorrow as well to dip your toe in the jobs data. Jobs data is going to be interesting. LOL, dead cat bounce. Yeah, I'm open to either one. Those poor cats. I know. Does unemployment account for AI robot workers? I do not believe so. I like Milk's like the second one, guys. You talk about how the VIX could signal a rally. Well, yes, we can, and we talked about that in the video yesterday. So actually, thank you for bringing up volatility. You kind of reminded me here that if you're going to see that weakness come in, the 30-minute turning up would be a very good hint of, are we going to see volatility early on in the week and see some kind of pullback or something like that, some kind of fade of this gap up as of this moment. We did see that reaction up last night. We see that start to fill that gap. We're seeing if this is a base to curl back up this 30-minute, very key. But you are correct to point out the VIX is signaling some kind of rally. The VIX is signaling that this can be a very good rally. The VIX is signaling that the daily for volatility can curl down. So when the VIX is showing this, normally that means when the SPY is holding within like 5%, that you're going to possibly even get that test of the high, even new all-time high. So VIX is suggesting that 620, that door has been opened. That's how I see it at this moment, but I'm still going to be paying attention just like every other week, right? I can keep that data point in my head, but also understand the options market is pricing in this. So we might see that good move up. We just might get a pullback before we actually head higher. You notice if we just sporadically went up and then Friday we pulled back and go into that area. So volatility, very good signal there. You got to be paying attention if the 30-minute, once again, also with volatility, if the 2 hour starts to curl back up, what does that mean? It means this signal is failing, right? If this curls back up, this means the signal is failing. In fact, if you go to an hourly chart and that hourly chart starts to curl up, that means it's failing. Now, the 30-minute doesn't necessarily mean it's failing, right? The 30-minute can move up and then curl back down before that 2 hour is able to cross, right? This is really hinting at a lower high at this moment. So that would tell us, let's be open to decent structure being built, right? We see how that lower high would come in for volatility. We'd go up to these levels. Then we would see volatility turn up for that lower high while the SPY gets a higher low. And then we curl up into positive territory with great structure. That's how I'm reading into volatility at this moment. I'm mainly just putting in my brain like, hey, volatility is suggesting we could go to all-time highs. The door is open. Okay, awesome. But this week, my ranges don't take me up to all-time highs. So I need to be aware, even if we see a good upward move, it is very likely to get some kind of pullback. At this moment as well, a lot of people starting to talk about this touch of the 200. So we will see if that's going to come. I think if you're going to get that test of the 200, you would most likely see something more like that, some kind of bigger fake out, right? Actually, or this would kind of be lackluster right now, and then you end up seeing that downward move, maybe down to these type of levels, and maybe the 200 can get there in a couple of days. So we'll see. But for the most part, we just want to be like, okay, we can go to all-time highs, but right now our weekly show, we're not going to all-time highs this week. So it is very likely for us to, unless we experience something crazy like a short squeeze or something like that to take you to these levels, then it's very less likely to go see that all-time highs. It's more likely to see us build up to key levels, see that pullback, build up to key levels, see that pullback. Meant to short the VIX on Friday, accidentally sold a put contract. I almost lost my mind when they took the 2G from my account. Oh man, I'm sorry about that, Brian. Wait, what? Okay, VIX signal. Okay, Alex brought that up, and that's awesome. My trading view is stuck only with horizontal movement. How do I change it? Only horizontal movement? Like you can't go up and down? You can only go this way? Can't go this way? You might have this thing locked, right? So you just might need to select that A. That's all I can think of at this moment, Monumental. Just make sure there's nothing like locked or you don't have some kind of lock on your screen in some way. Some interesting stuff, right? And mainly we were just looking at stocks, like kind of the Saturday video, just kind of looking at things and being like, hey, you know, Apple went down to the key level, could curl up on the 2 hour and then create that reversal signal later. Tesla really looked like, hey, we're going down to the key levels. Now we want some kind of bounce, okay? Tesla did some awful stuff, right? It kind of got rid of a lot of the reversal signals, so it's still very likely to see structure. If you need to see more info about this, look at the weekend or the Sunday video where we talked about going up to 357.78. Is that really possible this week? Well, that's where you can look at weekly expected moves and know very quickly that 357.78 this week is very unlikely to see 357.78 this week for something like Tesla. You're actually very unlikely to see 357.78 for the whole month for Tesla, which means we might have a whole month where you're kind of ripping around and going up and down and things like that. So we'll be watching. You can still see something crazy if everyone's shorting this and you see some kind of squeeze. But at this moment, your monthly expected moves would suggest for Tesla, that's not necessarily the best option. Oh, that's quick with it. I muted when I sneezed. All right, so heading up to a daily expected move, we got to just see if this can continue. Qs might actually be getting there first. Now, I'm thinking the Qs want to blow past this to allow the SPY to get to their daily expected move, but we shall see in a moment because it's about, what, 2 points off? SPY's about 3 points. About 3 points off. This is the first real area we need to get through right in here. This is the first chunk. We look at this, we're good. What are you guys talking about? Thank you for the weekend video. I have written down the expected move this week and today. Yeah, make sure that if you watch the Saturday video, you're getting the monthly expected moves updated right now. I actually forgot to change the days to expiration in the Saturday video, just so you're aware. So make sure that you have 6/18/28 to the upside for the SPY, 5/70/08 to the downside for the SPY, okay? These were just slightly higher, slightly lower, right? Lower, a little bit higher. Just forgot to change the days to expiration because I forgot February had less days to expiration there. So 6/18/28, 5/70/08. If you need to pause right now for the SPY, we're going to switch over to the Qs next just to give those levels again. 5/37/89 to the upside. So this one, once again, just shifted slightly down. And then to the downside, 4/78/45 for the Qs if you need to pause that to get that range. Good. Okay, good, Bert. I'm glad. I just wanted to make sure. I hate when I mess up the calculation. Whenever I make a silly mistake like that, I'm always like, damn. But looks pretty good. I mean, you look at things like IWM as well, and you're just going, okay, we're in the buy zone. IWM has the best signals out of all of them, right? We can see that IWM has the most significant signals that held these, and they're the most significant out of all of the indices. So very interesting here. If IWM does see a strong move, I'm still paying attention to that 222.60 level. If we get some kind of boom here, if we get some kind of boom, it still would be interesting to see if these things fail. So we'll be watching. I don't know if this will necessarily be a trade setup because you could see a higher low. You could see that divergence. So I'm mainly going to be paying attention to bullish signals. Crypto, I thought crypto was interesting. Now, crypto is interesting because I kept saying, I was like, you do not want to remain below 91.8K. Now, look at this. Do you think we're paying attention to a good level? Because look what happens. Terrible things. We go down here. We actually do not see a close. I believe we didn't see a close firmly below 84K, which is very interesting to me because that's kind of like your line in the sand over here. almost like this one, right? This one was, hey, if you lose this block, you're going down to possibly 73K, you're going to 69.5. So look what happened yesterday. Boom, we rocket to get us above what again? To get us above 91.8K. Very interesting, seeing a test of that as support this morning. So we'll see what happens. But still, just so you are aware, even if Bitcoin does see a boom, that could end up being a bust, right? We might make that right shoulder that could have been in this area, right? We might see something like this. Because of the positioning of the MACD, we have to be aware if we see like a 4 or even a 2 hour signal like this, because that's at least going to say pullback, but we want to be aware of any weakness that can cross down this daily chart for crypto, because I believe that the next major top for crypto, you're probably going to see this down more towards that 69.5K for Bitcoin. So very good to bring it back, right? This is an overall test of the breakdown area as of this moment. This can still fail. We notice that the 4 hour is still relatively close to the center line, but look how positive the move is, right? This was where, hey, we could fail, right? We could fail in these areas. We could fail in this area as we test the 5. But at this moment, the 4 hour was able to go positive enough that even if it gave it up, which I don't even think it will, you can see that turn back up into positive territory. And Iceberglet, thank you so much for subscribing. So what I would be doing is watching this 2 hour. As the 2 hour, if it can remain pretty steady around this 91.8K and then just curl up, you're probably going to see the next move. But remember, the 2 hour chart is like a 30-minute chart for all the other stocks that we look at when you talk about crypto, meaning this won't be the strongest move in the world, but it will be a continuation that can bring you up a few percent. And then if we start to see divergences, that's more when we'll pay attention to like, hey, this might fail. So that's what I'm mainly looking into with crypto. I mean, I saw XRP just doing this insane thing, and I was talking to my buddy about this over the weekend, so I'll talk to you guys about what we were discussing. He was going, what's going on with XRP? And I go, well, XRP to me had a bad break. I think it had a bad break. But I go, you know, at the time when I was talking to him, we were right here, and I just go, you really want to turn that up in the next few days, or else it's going to look a little bit sketchy, right? You're going to see like these things start to get oversold and start to see more dramatic drops, maybe down to that 200 or even lower if all of this wants to play out. So you could all end up all the way down towards maybe even $1 at that point, right? So I just told him, I go, so if that daily chart isn't curling up soon, you got to be aware of the risk. Now, what happened over the weekend? The daily chart was able to curl up. The 2 hour is extremely positive. The 4 hour was even able to go extremely positive. So XRP looking pretty damn bullish. And this is the only way that I told my buddy that I could see XRP saving itself. So that ended up happening. I guess thank you to Donald Trump. If you're holding XRP is what you should be saying. Not a Friday, looking for failure, sell the news event today. Momentum would suggest that that would be kind of a random occurrence for the shorter time frames, so we would need bigger stuff. We would need bigger stuff for that. I wish I had a buddy. The thing is, like, he mainly just holds the whole time. He just wants to be aware of, like, he's still someone that likes to hold it the whole entire time, but he likes to be aware of what's going on. Right? He likes to be aware of what's going on, even though he's planning to hold it. I think it helps with the emotional side of being able to hold the trade. If he knows it's coming, he's just like, okay, it's going to go down for a while. Okay, it's going to go up now. And then he has his points where he wants it to get to. You think AMC has a realistic chance to hit $4? Well, you brought up AMC, and we do have to update you on some levels here for AMC. Let's put it on a 2 hour chart real quick, and we're going to update that level you need to break through to see something crazy. For AMC, the level that you're going to need to break through this week, a lot closer, I would say, just that 367. So you see how if we just blow past the structure we've created now, do you see that? Do you see how if this is going to hold, man, we're building in this area. Look how much is going on in this area for a moment here. If we see that explosive move that takes you higher, ooh, we just have to get through 367. All we have to do is break through and then maybe even retest that to go higher. So we'll see what happens with it. But just note, if we get outside of that, the least likely thing to see is the squeeze. The more likely thing to see is that start to get resistance, start to be a fight at this purple line at 367. Okay, squeeze is always the less likely thing. Always. That's why you need to see something crazy in order to get that to happen. You have great structure. You just need this daily chart to give you some love again. You really need this daily chart to curl up, because well, I know it's rejecting right now, but we're aware that this can easily just cross down at any moment and end up seeing that divergence play, maybe hitting a weekly expected move downside. We'll see if that's going to take place. That would be a great signal. But the reason I'm paying attention right now is because GME already has that daily divergence. So if this thing just crosses up in the next trading session, this thing could start to rip. And the thing about GME is the implied volatility did not increase. In fact, AMC's implied volatility for the week actually dropped. So 2684 is all you have to break through. And you see how if you just curl up a daily chart and you get that to extend in any way, well, there can be resistances up here, but you have divergence beneath you, meaning if a big buyer comes in or good news comes in with this that causes some good buying, you can see something crazy with a signal like this. So you really want this daily chart to be curling up, and then you're pretty happy with it. And that's why I'm thinking AMC, you need to be paying attention to it right now, because you are seeing that daily structure from GME, while at the same time AMC is currently rejecting the downside, right? This easily could have been downside this entire time. Weirdly enough, looks pretty curvy. Can we see that just launch to the upside with that head and shoulders, and GME with the divergence? That's what I'm watching at this moment. Volatility for the time being looks like trying to hold at these levels. So we will see if there is some kind of pullback for the SPY this morning. I think you do want to go a little bit higher though. Get a little bit higher now. Alrighty. Nothing trending here. And there. Alright. Let's go back over to the chat, see what you guys are doing. There's no telling the government to keep buying Bitcoin. Wouldn't it be a big disappointment that Bitcoin didn't at least double to 200K per coin during his term? Well, I wanted to look at the actual thing that Donald Trump tweeted, because from what I understand is, I don't think at least the statement I read, I didn't see much about Bitcoin. I thought I saw him mention XRP and Solana. Here, Trump, Bitcoin. Let's see if someone has the post somewhere. I don't want to. I have a Truth Social account. I just don't want to log into it. Oh, okay. So he added. Oh, and so he added, and obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum as other valuable cryptocurrencies will be at the heart of the reserve. I also love Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so there you go. So he did actually mention those. I only saw the first one where he mentioned the XRP Solana one. So what was the actual question? Let's get back to that. You buying Bitcoin, that would be. The thing is, if you're going to start accumulating Bitcoin, that most likely isn't the time at this exact moment, right? At this exact moment, it looks like you're about to get that 2-hour pullback. Really, it's just like if you were really trying to accumulate Bitcoin, you'd more be like how, say, China or BRICS was treating gold, right? Gold, they were accumulating, and then gold finally started to see that break. Bitcoin, you kind of want to be doing the same thing. And as we've just seen this break down, we just want to be aware, hey, if this is going to head and shoulders to the upside, actually, I mean, that would look pretty interesting, wouldn't it? But I would say you would want cheaper prices than this before you get into Bitcoin. But hey, you know, the government's not ones to try to time the market, right? They're just going to do what they need to do in order to get a reserve, probably. Might be over my pay grade to read into that analysis. Well, the reason I've always been skeptical about Bitcoin is just like, well, all you have to do is like, what, the electricity goes out for a day in America, and it's kind of like, oh, well, Bitcoin's in trouble. At the end of the day, that's how I think about Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, it's valuable as long as the lights turn on, as long as the internet turns on. What have you guys talked about? We've talked about a little bit of everything. VIX isn't giving up yet, and you're right to point that out, Dubs. Can you look at the Russell? Yeah, we've looked at the Russell. I just love these signals from the Russell. right? I love these signals from the Russell 2000. I think they're fantastic. If you want them a little smoother, it might be on an hourly chart this time. Everything's loading slow. It always loads slow in the morning. I mean, look at that hourly divergence. Tell me right now that that doesn't look good. I'm just saying, like, that's insane. Now, it doesn't mean it has to play out. It can fail. This 30-minute is still negative. So if the 30-minute curls down, what should we be doing? Well, we should say there's probably not upside for the time being. And then if it curls back up, we can talk about it. But Nvidia dragging down the market pretty good here. I'm going to go check on that for a moment. 4%. Wow, what the hell? What the hell's going on with Nvidia? All right, Nvidia here with the 30-minute extended divergence, probably maybe even clear on the hourly. But the reason here still is like the buying still holding in just a little bit of a wider flag, a little more volatile type flag. So still got to see that produce that good upside. And this 2 hour, if it's just crossing, yeah, it didn't even cross at the end of the day. So you haven't even gotten that 2 hour confirmation, which means be open to this heading down, right? This is a 30-minute divergence. And we're gonna start to look at, if we start to make those major top signals again, or we start to crash down into where volatility is extremely high, we might be doing that course sale in April, just so you're aware. So something in the course that we do is we talk about how to manage your trade. And this is a 30-minute divergence. So with a 30-minute divergence, we just want to make sure the 30-minute remains positive. And then in the course, we go even deeper and talk about how to actually manage the trade on shorter time frames if they are still negative. So I want you to notice here, and we'll see where the 15 is, and it's still negative. So if the 15 crosses down, that would still be a bad thing. Okay, that would still be a very bad thing if that crossed. That still says test the low, go make a new one. That hasn't happened yet, but that is what I personally would react to if I was bullish on Nvidia or had a bullish trade. That would cause me to manage. Could crypto be in trouble if countries do something similar? Similar to what exactly, Alex? I just want to clarify what similarity you're trying to draw. What do you think about the SPY having a pullback? I just think that the SPY is more likely to get to the upside daily expected move. I noticed that the Qs are already pretty much there, but I think the Qs might extend that move up to like 519. I think it might be dependent also on the data, right? Because right now we're actually getting data, and the data as of this moment is, let me reload, it should be 845. Okay, it hasn't dropped yet. Anybody see the manufacturing PMI final? Anybody have that data? Mine's still loading. UVXY, I'm following signals from volatility. So if the VIX is telling me, hey, the 30-minute could trend up for a moment here, just watch if that 30-minute curls up. That means UVXY could turn up as well if the SPY actually falls. I see for the global one, there's two readings of PMI that I see. Global manufacturing PMI final, and then the ISM manufacturing PMI, but the global manufacturing PMI I still haven't gotten, and that's supposed to be 845. That was supposed to be 2 minutes ago. So if anyone has that for me, just let me know. Obviously we know 9 a.m. is when we're really paying attention. Okay, 52.7 final manufacturing PMI. Oh, actually a little higher. Okay, so if recession is on people's mind, they wouldn't mind that, right? Let me see the data here, 51.2. So if that came in at 52.7, it depends on if people read into inflation or if they read into, hey, no recession now. And then we'll get the bigger piece of data in about 12 minutes. But it just depends what's on people's minds now. Is it all the reports a week ago of, hey, the bond market's reacting to recession that we pointed out 7 days before they wrote those articles? Or is it going to be an inflation-driven narrative, right? We want to see if the narrative is negative or if the narrative is positive. And something that can help us out in dictating if that narrative will be positive is just making sure that these things stay curled up if we see something good here. Right, pay attention to the buyers. So Alex, once again, just let me know what similarities you're trying to draw, okay? I actually don't know, Mr. Pickle, if you can find that for us, as I'm just looking at charts and kind of looking at data over here. If you could find that for us, Mr. Pickle, we would really appreciate it. And then if you can't find it, I could look as well. Tariff Tuesday, baby. Yeah, maybe another turnaround Tuesday if we're at higher levels. We'll see. Have you checked out the hum chart yet? I don't think I have. Humana. Yeah, this 30-minute looks pretty good. You're going into that obvious resistance. Look at this. I mean, if you've ever imagined a cup, doesn't this look like a cup to you? My goodness, that looks like a cup to me. So this could pull back to that 5, then curl right back up, right? We're looking for this now. That seems pretty obvious. It looks good, but I would still like to see good structure before heading higher, right? Because all of this on bigger time frames, if you look at this on bigger time frames, it could be almost flagging at this point, right? We could see a daily and see that curl up, but if we keep getting this kind of rip around behavior like this for a long period of time, then we get tight, we could fall back down. So what I would like to see here is just the 30-minute be able to blow past this, show that good buy come in. What do you need for a good buy? Well, you might need that pullback to go down to those lower prices where the breakout happened, where the big buy came in, and allow it to happen a second time with that handle, and that would just be the 30-minute curling down and curling back up. 2 hour looks like it's going positive, not even overbought just yet. So the way you know, hey, this 30-minute is not going to turn back up is if that 30-minute starts to go negative, then you see this 2 hour cross, right? That should be pretty quick actually, and you know, hey, yeah, this is heading down. Okay, Washington, March 3rd. U.S. President Trump will make an investment announcement at 1:30 p.m. GMT on Monday. The White House said without offering any other details. Okay, so an investment announcement. Wow, okay, I wonder what they are going to be investing in. Maybe that's why he dropped the tweet over the weekend, so we'll see. Volatility, able to see that upward move, so that's telling us for now, volatility can see some kind of move here. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Pickle. Really appreciate that. That's what this community is for, guys. If you think there's something that is important and we're not paying attention to it, please, I almost said please, like South Park or something. Please bring it up to the chat, right? Bring it into the community and let us go look at it with you, right? Let's see if we need to be paying attention to it. So thank you so much, Mr. Pickle, for giving your input. Boys, shh, shh, shh. Will USA make GameStop their reserve currency stock? Highly doubtful on that. Highly doubtful on that. But tell me right now, what if GameStop said, hey, we didn't do Bitcoin, but we did XRP at like $1.80? I'll just say it. Mr. Pickle. It's funny because my sister calls my dog's name's Alan. She calls him Alan Pickles. So Mr. Pickle, I might have adopted your child. Vic Strong bouncing off 20 to go higher. As of right now, we want to see if that momentum really curls up. As of right now, the signals still remain downside is the most likely thing. I know the 30-minute is curling up, but notice the positioning. The main thing that can happen here is lower high. Even if this curls up, though, you can manage risk, right? Volatility can be a reason to manage a trade for the time being, especially if I have shorter expiration. And then if that confirms the lower high again, I can maybe be right back into play, right? Sometimes I do use volatility to convince me, hey, if I have calls on the SPY, but volatility turns up, how likely is it for the SPY to go down to that daily expected move? Well, it's pretty likely. So if this curls up, would you have that from the RSI? You have it with the price action. If it lands like this in 17 minutes, you have it with the MACD. So that could convince me, okay, maybe the SPY is going to trail down here for a moment, which weirdly enough, this still would be pretty good level to react to. Almost say cup and handle, but we'll just say consolidate, right? Consolidate in some way. Though it is negative, we have to pay attention if this actually confirms down. That's going to be worrisome. But what if we do this, and then around that 1:30 time, we get some good news from the Trump Meister, the comb over. All right, what were you looking at here? Someone wanted to look at MSTR, so we'll look at that. MSTR needed this. MSTR needed this to happen for Bitcoin. MSTR really needed that announcement, and I want you to notice how weak MSTR got compared even to Bitcoin, right? We see the top of this bad bar right here, and we go all the way to the low there, which is like right on the 200. That's almost 30% right there. So you see the risk of if Bitcoin goes down, look how MSTR reacts. Now, are you about to see good news from Trump that absolutely blows this thing off? It could happen. It could definitely happen, right? I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying, you guys know how I feel about this guy, and the signal's not necessarily the best. The signals aren't the best for Bitcoin either. It seems like it just got saved with a tweet, right? Never really a good sign if it's saved with a tweet. So you're hoping for better news, like an investment. It's kind of like when Tesla says we're going to make an affordable EV. What an announcement, and then it doesn't happen. And what happens to Tesla over time? It starts to sell off. A lot of these things are rumors, so you want to see it backed up with something. And so I'm glad Mr. Pickle came in today and said, hey, yeah, Trump's supposed to give an investment announcement, so maybe we can pay attention to that, and that could prove to be good for MSTR. But MSTR is really deep into negative territory here, so pretty risky one. If you want this to head higher, I think you got to see that reaction back towards 400 and then see some kind of little pullback to then curl up and see some good structure. I think that would be really, really nice for MSTR. That's the only way I see this thing coming back. Great gap up, but man, if Bitcoin does not keep going higher, then MSTR is going to suffer way worse. That's a 30% drop compared to Bitcoin that just had like a 6-7% drop at that time frame. I'm playing CSGO. Hey, that's what's up. I respect that. Me and my brother used to play CSGO all the time, so keep playing, my dude. I thought the benefits of cryptos were speed, amount of transaction, plus receipts for every transaction reduces the risk of fraud and hacking. Yeah, those are technically the benefits for Bitcoin. We would have to see how that unfolds, though. But you're thinking about the right things. Like, I'm not saying those are not good things to think about. I think those are fine things to think about. But it's just more so, what are people going to react to, right? The reasons that you're discussing are the whys, but more so what people, at least the majority of people, react to is just based on, hey, are we going to do something with it? Are we going to buy more of it, right? They're more worried about, is someone investing more money into it? That's what causes a stock or a crypto to go up, more money. So if they see, hey, someone's using more money to buy big amounts of it, that's the main thing that we care about, because we just care about momentum, right? If they want to implement it, make a reserve, do all these things, blah, 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 great, awesome. We'll see it in the momentum if it's going to be a positive thing for the market. We'll see dailies start to curl up. Starbucks, remember, Starbucks still climbing and climbing and climbing. This is why I wish we had a monthly expected move, because you notice we failed. Remember Meta, when this signal happened, we had that monthly expected move. So now we're going to get updated monthly expected moves. I don't have Starbucks on our list, but this is right here, and you notice that in that area, it's just around the 5. You always want to be watching if that 30 minutes going to curl back up and you need to manage something. Now you're heading to higher levels again. You're wiping out those divergence points. So is this some kind of trap? At the end of the day, most likely it will be some kind of trap. And it might be right now. We're starting to get tighter and tighter on these. We're starting to test top Bollinger again. It could be right now. It's just going to be harder to call because we don't have that hard data with monthly expected moves or weekly expected moves for it. Yeah, it's going to be one of those ones that's difficult to short. All right, SPY actually turning in the downward direction for the time being. And we get data in 3 minutes. Doug's got a question. Well, you know, the rule is buy low, sell high. So what I'd be looking for from NVIDIA is maybe a little tiny tap down to these lows and then see if that can get support and then remain curled up on this 30-minute, or if the 15-minute curls down, which is kind of being suggested here. I want to see if that 15-minute sees a quick move and then turns right back up. That's what I'll be looking for. We do get data in literally 2 minutes, so we'll see how that affects the market in a moment. I think it's more important. We'll go take a look at more things after we get that data in about 2 minutes. Seems like it's unlimited. Well, that's where you could potentially get into synthetics. You could potentially get into naked short selling, right? Those are illegal activities that could be clamped down on soon, but they're not clamped down on yet, in my opinion. not worth the risk for me. See, Zap, and I think that's a fine thing to say. As a trader, you want to be paying attention to things you want to risk your money behind. If I have the feeling of I don't want to risk my money behind this signal, then I'm not taking the signal, right? If I don't feel good about something, why take it? I mean, if you have 580 is a good level, that's all I would say, but you got to make your own decisions with it and pay attention to the reaction to the data, right? Can I hold through the data? It's like, well, do the signals confirm bad things with the data, right? I'm just reacting to things, right? If the 15-minute curls down, then I have to react to that. I have to understand that the 15-minute tried to go positive pretty good, but it's still close to that center line, so that might not be what I'm open to. You know, we could still see something crazy. But I think the more likely thing is just to see something like that. Maybe something like this first. Right? We'll pay attention to it, but yeah, it's not so much like, hey, should I hold through data? It's, do I see bad things with the data? Am I comfortable holding through data? Blah, 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 blah. As far as this moment goes, ISM manufacturing PMI coming out at 50.3. The previous was 50.9, and the consensus on this was about 50.5. So we did see, I would say, an okay reading at this moment. For the time being, we do have the 15-minute we can pay attention to if that crosses for the SPY, but the 30-minute is what we're overall watching. So now we're looking for that reaction to the data and seeing how people read into it. Let's see here, SM manufacturing PMI. So let's do this. I want to see what the narrative is as that PMI starts to come out. I'm just going to keep reloading until we get an updated report. Is market priced in for tariffs tomorrow? I think that would be something that we look at this 2 hour. Especially if it's later in the day, like you see 2 hour, we would need this 2 hour to see some kind of move here for a little extension. So if it comes at the end of Tuesday and we see a stronger move here, that would be nice, but that would be what could tear down this 2 hour, so we'll watch it. You know, maybe it's like on tomorrow we hit a daily expected move upside, right? We do whatever for today, then tomorrow we start to see that go up, then we get some bad news and that starts to curl down, and that's where I'd more be watching. Just another thing to react to. Is it priced in for, it's just is it a new tariff? Is the tariff actually implemented? And then looking for the actual reaction in the market. That drop was quick. Well, we did just get a little bit of data. IWM starting to drop down. A lot of things just dropping down, but not curling down completely. Maybe 15-minute is what I want to watch here for the SPY. Trying to buy back up immediately. I think that's the confusion. It's like, do we react to a weaker PMI and say recession, or are we reacting to the PMI and saying, hey, that's good for inflation? Nvidia stock discount. Corgi's like, I can get Nvidia cheaper. Yeah, you're not wrong. 15-minute hasn't even curled down here. It's trying to. Tesla gave up the entire thing so far. Actually came down and filled the gap though, very nice. Qs, did they actually get to the weekly expected move? Or daily expected move. Doesn't want to load. There we go. Ooh, they got so close. But we can still see it built up to this area, right? This doesn't have to do exactly this, right? We can do other things as well. We'll see. And then for VIX, we just want to see if this starts to fail over time. But as that is curling up, it is very likely to see a little bit lower prices. So we'll see. Haven't seen these things curl down yet. Shorts covering or people buying? I don't think they're covering. I think they're in too fearful, unless it was someone who knows something more than we do. But even if they are covering, right? If it's a big boy covering or something like that, because I think it happened pretty quick, didn't it? Right? This happened pretty quick. Like if we take all this into real consideration here, that's only like 2.5 hours. In 2.5 hours, you see this. These things, maybe someone started to close those short positions. This here might have been those buying, just little buys stepping in. We'll find out. We're coming down to an even low. That's very good. This is all you need to head higher. Sometimes Yahoo Finance is like the most simple one. I've used Yahoo Finance before and trusted it pretty well. If you're like, hey, I don't know what platform to use, well, use a platform that's just like, hey, it's very easy to see. So Yahoo Finance is one that I kind of, it's like my backup. It's my backup, so. I like to look at Yahoo Finance IV after close, like after, actually 30 minutes after close is when I normally look at IV levels. I start to pay attention, and then by 4, they're usually locked in. By an hour after close. Can we see 600 SPY this week? Well, yes, of course you can, right? If you want to ask if something's possible, just always be looking at this first, right? If you're like, hey, is 600 possible this week, and it's within these lines, then it's definitely possible. And the signal suggests that that is very possible. Yeah, so JP Morgan, first of all, great trade we had. Now trying to make some kind of floor. Look at all the 30-minute divergence. A little bit of a weak, like a fake out move right here. Multiple point divergence pretty much. And then you see that thing starting to climb back above the 50, and that's what you want. You want that, or the 5-day. You want that to kind of consolidate or maybe even blow past and retest. This is a great level to do all this, right? This is great stuff right now, and you're seeing that produce to the upside. So 2 hours curling up. If that needs to see more or lower prices, well, then the 2 hour might cross down and we could create that divergence. We do have weekly expected moves and updated monthly expected moves over on Patreon right now, guys, for even JP Morgan. I'm going to leave it on there. I kind of like having at least one financial company, right? One company in the XLF in there. So I do like having a bank here. I think in the weekly expected moves, that's very nice to pay attention to. So JP Morgan's a good one. But I think you're right to pay attention to, hey, can we see an upward move? Because if this daily just crosses up, did we have reversal signals, like really, really good ones? Flat, even up on the MACD, up on the RSI, if not, yeah, up on the RSI as well. So not that good of reversal signals. So can you see some kind of boom and then bust? That's kind of what we're gonna look for at this moment. Because once you actually do this, you have a reversal signal that says, hey, we can start to break down over time. This was more like, hey, there's going to be a daily pullback. Remember all the signals, 2 hour triple divergence, fantastic. Daily signal where like daily can see a pullback. Awesome, it happened. Now the daily has pulled back. What's the next thing we were paying attention to? Well, if it curls up around that 263.52, we're paying attention, and that's great. We're trying to do it. Hasn't done it yet. Hasn't done it yet. 30-minute, no real divergence there either. Nice move to take that back. Here we go. Remind you for AMC update. Yeah, we did go over AMC. I'll show it off one more time real quick because all you're really looking for here is AMC to see a good move, and that's not necessarily happening right now. You need this to get through 367. You need this to hold structure. The reason we're paying attention to the structure is because GME has daily divergence. If daily divergence confirms, I'm pretty confident to say these are going to attempt something. If GME makes that divergence and actually completes it, right? It's making it now. Can it complete it? And then we'll see possibly a test of 367. If we can blow past that or gap above that, that would be best case scenario, I think, for AMC. But just know this is where the fight begins, and a short squeeze is always the lower percentage thing. So be paying attention in these areas if things start to curl down, because that means you're closing back below the key level. Let's see. Yeah, DAX still curling to the upside. Remember, DAX, wasn't it like it had the daily, but it didn't have daily divergence, right? Yeah, it doesn't have the daily divergence. So this actually could, if this isn't, oh man, DAX, I'm actually really worried about this move. This is a very overzealous move. But it's still heading in that upward direction. I would probably clear this up with a 4-hour chart and say if the 4-hour curls down, you're gonna actually see lower prices. But my goodness, this is a risky thing for the DAX to be doing. Oh my gosh, like you could, at the end of the day, you could still see the DAX come all the way down to 20.5. If not come all the way down to 19,000. 19.5. IWM's drunk right now. Oh, that's great. IWM's wasted. Nah, well, I'll look at that on my other screen real quick to see if it helps us out. Let me leave you guys on the SPY for just a quick moment here. See if this helps us out. Looking at this guy. Oh, interesting. DIA actually gapping above. So the Dow Jones, let's look at it on DJI. Dow Jones actually able to get above these levels for now. Interesting. 2-hour divergence was there. So this says the daily chart for the DIA can curl up. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Imagine if this is what's playing out. Imagine if this is a cup and this is a handle. Holy crap. Pick it from right here, just somewhere random. Woo! Good thing we have monthly expected moves, right? Helps us out a lot. And DIA is still holding really well, though. Yeah, it's a deep ass handle, isn't it, Brian? You just took calls on the drunk one. What, IWM? IWM's feeling a little wasted. I think IWM has the best signals. I think it has the best signals. It's even on your 2-hour chart. So I would be stupid to say like IWM doesn't have good signals, but IWM struggles a lot. And I think that might be because of all the short selling going on, but it does tell you like, hey, you have a daily divergence here as well, right? You have potential for daily divergence to be there. On the MACD, kind of flat, but it's still there. Kind of flat on the RSI, still there. So this means IWM can start cooking soon. We'll see if it cooks though. Because it would be crazy. It would, like, the only thing that violates and really takes us to those all-time highs is if a lot of things I think have to do moves outside of monthly expected moves, at least for the MAG 7. QQ is holding and bouncing from the VAH. I'm sorry, wait, is it MAGs? Magnificent 7 ETF. Yeah, that 30 minutes showing it as well. I might, can I make ranges for MAGs? I can. We might look at, I'm gonna write a note. I might write a note because I think this would be pretty cool. We'll look into adding mags maybe to the Patreon because that could be interesting. So I kind of see what's priced in for that to go. Value area high. Okay, that's what that is, yeah. Or 504 should see upward, more upwards direction. Yeah, signal suggests 2 hours crossing up. So we see little things like this in those 2-hour bars all the time. to cover the 7. Yeah, Robert, I'm talking about maybe making those option levels, right? You're saying I took an option play. What I'm talking about is looking into, you know, people like you looking into that data and being like, okay, how high or low with all those numbers, with all those trades in place, how high or low are people with their money expecting the Mag 7 to go, or low? Well, I mean, if you're doing the just invest every month with your paycheck and that kind of thing, you're going to be investing at higher levels right now, just so you're aware. True Pelican, I mean, all we have to do to talk about investing is just look at a monthly chart and show you where you're investing, right? If you're starting now, you're especially, I don't know if you just started, what's it, I only started investing this year, so 2025, well, you're investing at the highest point. So this means you can take those little, you know, little things, but over time, you'll start to realize like, yeah, I can buy little bits in here if I want, but the better thing to do is wait for a potential moment like this, if that moment will come. And the thing is, this MACD is so high up that you're like, yeah, that moment's probably going to come. And then maybe instead of getting it at 600, you end up getting it at, I don't know, 520, right? And that's where I would say, you know, if I want to do like, hey, I'm going to put this in monthly, but I'm going to save money, a bigger amount of money for if a bad thing happens, and then I can invest at lower levels, right? If I don't want to miss out, but I don't want to be a FOMOer that's just going to get ripped apart, then I can do little bits in here, right? Just to be like, just in case, right? People say buy the SPY, whatever. But the thing for me is what I like to do is say, yeah, this is really high up. I just know that this is very likely to see at least this before we get the next one big upward move or the next run like this. We are very likely to see something down here like so. Yeah, it's just the divergences on the RSI should freak you out a little bit here. These things should freak you out a little bit, all right? That is weakness in momentum, and that is on the monthly scale, which means you can see a more aggressive drop than this right over here, but I'm still going to try to be very, very open to correction, right? We've seen how the market behaves so irrationally that I have to be open to a corrective move. Yeah, I like your level. So Robert, wouldn't that be insane? For the Mag 7, like that would give us an overview of the bigger stocks, like the really, really big boys that are probably going to hold the market up well. And if we see where they are priced in to kind of tap out, we can get a good area for where things could kind of go wrong. So maybe we'll add that to weekly expected moves. Unfortunate that I thought of this a day after we could have made monthly expected moves. I could make them, but the IV is going to change here. So I think I could probably still make them for a general area, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a monthly expected move. But maybe I'll make it and I'll mention it on this mention it on the live stream for this month. That way we can all pay attention together and see if it actually helps us out. Precious metals are booming. Yeah, gold. Remember gold with the pullback moment here. All right, sometimes looking at futures is nicer for this. Let's see a 4 hour, because I think a 4 hour is just down. Yeah, so this is where you have to understand gold has broken down. It's retesting a key level right now, and this could easily start to roll very slowly and then see this, and that would be a trigger for me. Right, that would be a 4 hour divergence. If that saw that positivity, that would say, okay, now the daily scale is going to curl up. We didn't have daily divergence, so we're not bearish on gold. We were pullback on gold, right? Daily pullback for gold, that was going to be a little bit more aggressive. That still could end up being more aggressive, right? Especially if you start to do bad things. This is how it probably collapses, something like that. But if we can see that the MACD doesn't have reversal signals, we can see that turn back up into positive territory, even at that level, the more likely thing is test the high and go make a new one for gold futures here and GLD. GLD, kind of the same boat, right? Maybe needs lower prices first, but then could just curl up on a daily and end up seeing upside. We'll watch for potential reversal signals. I think gold is a good thing to watch, because if you see 4 hour or daily reversal signals, I would read into it almost like Bitcoin as well. Look at the signals from Bitcoin, right? People call Bitcoin digital gold, right? So I'll be looking into that. But yeah, looks like maybe we need to make better basing out signals for GLD or gold futures. But for the time being, you would say, hey, I'm really open to that daily confirming up and seeing new highs again, getting to 3,000 in the futures. In pounds, that makes a difference. Do you think the market going to crash even lower in the next few days? You don't necessarily want to consider a crash in a few days, okay? Crashes take months to happen. Like even the worst crashes ever, even 2020 took like 6 weeks to base out. Okay, you're going to see it at a longer period of time. To say a few days, you'd want to be in that crash moment already, and you would want to see no reversal signals really. So the way that we crash lower, if you want to call it a crash, I would say a triple dip maybe, or a double dip for the 2 hour, is the 2 hour needs to make a strong base, right? Is if we see this trail up and then fail, see that thing go down, people get really bearish, and then we curl back up, we see that 2 hour divergence come in. That's how I would really be looking into it. But for the time being, you have great structure from a 30-minute. The 2 hours really deep, so we'll see if that can really extend up, but as of this moment, you're not getting that. This is why I'm glad Mr. Pickles brought up that announcement later on in the day, because people could see that as bullish. It's like, if people see that our government is ballsy enough to invest at these levels, then maybe people are ready to follow that. Or at least dumb money might follow that. I think a rip coming today. Well, potentially pay attention to 130. Pickles, is that 1:30 Eastern time? I forgot. That's what, yeah, Dave. I think for the most part, 620 is the very obvious level, right? And that would be where we're looking for potential reversal signals, because 620 is a key level. 620 and 630, I would say. Yes, 1:30 Eastern time. Okay, thank you so much. DIA maybe bouncing and lead indices again. Yes, DIA is something that I was watching because we got this gap up. Mainly looking at the Dow Jones, but we got this little gap up and it's holding for the most part, right? We filled it and we're holding to the upside. These are last week's weekly expected moves, by the way. So these aren't important levels, but kind of important right now, I guess. Right? It's important above these highs, so if you're just seeing it hold up above these highs, that's a good thing. You're not even overbought. Volatility, once again, see if that confirms right back down. That's kind of what we're looking for here. This is how they kind of fake us out, looking for the lower high. Tariffs coming tomorrow? Possibly. But are they new tariffs, or are they just confirming other tariffs that we've talked about? We'll see, right? I don't think we've fully known that yet. I think people are starting to become numb to the tariff talk even more so. Like, I know some big sells have come in, but that's just a reason to sell off, right? Is that retail reacting? We'll see. Well, exactly. If you're a negotiator, what do you do when you're going to buy something from someone? What do you do when you sell something on Facebook Marketplace? Right? You say this is $100. Someone comes in and says 95. You go, yeah, okay. You just sold it at a little discount there, so it's less than expected. We'll see. It's Mexico 25, Canada 25, and China 20. Last thing I heard, it was China 10. But I could be wrong. Okay, let's see if this is a positive narrative. Some are bad, some are good. Some are saying tariff pressures mount. Monthly row after 20. Will manufacturing steady. Okay. Will manufacturing PMI surprise to the downside in February? We'll see. Data from the Institute forecast meanwhile price paid inflation, which tracks inflation advanced 62.8 employer down for this. Market reaction, the greenback maintains its downbeat performance at the beginning of the week, moving the US dollar index to deflate to the 106.60 range. 106, it was already there. Why is it? So these people just reported that they see the DXY getting to 106.60. They reported that like 15 minutes ago. It's like it's already past that. Like it's already there. So what a call. Now our white line was always that 106.49, right? We see that the 2 hour is down by the center line, so the dollar could easily pick up here. This is where we wanted that test. Yeah, VIX as of now starting to fade the move, so we'll see if that adds up to anything later on. Wow, what a call. It's like that's like saying here, or let's see, that's like saying at 119 that Nvidia could get to 120 to the downside. Like, yeah, I called it. It already happened. People, oh man, I love financial media. Financial mainstream media is just hilarious to me. Straddle up for the rocket. You think 602? I mean, 602 is definitely possible. 607.50 is possible this week, right? 608 is possible. Shit, we see some kind of squeeze. A lot's possible, right? Anything's possible if you put your mind to it. I think it's China 10, but they already had 10, so it's now 20. Oh, okay, maybe that makes some sense. Get retail nice and bearish just to rip them afterwards. Yeah, potentially. We'll see. The thing is with me is I keep looking at the CPC, and with this, I'm just like, were people really bearish during any of that? I know like people bring up the put call volumes and stuff. Like I saw FX had a chart for it, and he's like, yeah, this is the most bearish people have been, right, with put volume, you know, in forever. And I was like, yeah, it's just interesting because you're not seeing that same type of behavior from the CPC, in my opinion. Anything's possible with Daddy Trump. Hold on. I don't think I saw... No name. I don't see you in here a lot. Are you looking for IBIT? What is that? I don't remember every ticker. Forgive me if I'm forgetting a very obvious ticker. Invest in air if you want to breathe. I'm telling you folks, you can't get enough of it. You not being on Friday, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I got pretty sick, and now it ended up being a whole thing. Like, I got sick, then my wife ended up getting sick, and then my abuela ended up getting sick, and then she couldn't watch the kids for a birthday. Or my kid for the birthday that we were supposed to go to, so we took her with us. It was still a good time, but man, as parents, you really look forward to those breaks, and it feels like the last 3 times we've tried to get a break with a babysitter or something, they've gotten sick, and it's just that time, right? We're not blaming people, but it's unfortunate sometimes. Everyone is feeling better. I think Abuela is starting to have more of a recovery day right now, so thank you for looking out for us, guys. You guys know if I feel well enough and I feel like I can do good work for you guys, that's when I like to stream, right? I like to stream when I feel like I can be as helpful as possible, so that, you know, when I'm sick, it's like if my brain's not working well enough, I don't want to do you guys a disservice, so I do apologize about that, but everyone's good now. Hopefully it was just like allergies, because the weather in Kansas, whew. Remember, it was snowing, it was icy, it was negative degrees outside like 10 days ago? Well, it was 60 degrees yesterday. It's been 60 degrees for like 4 days now. Pretty crazy. Welcome to parenthood. Facts. think most Mag 7 have probably put in a major top. Yeah, but they can all get like big daily moves up, Dave. They can, like, a lot of them can get daily moves that come back 10%, even 20%, some of them. So it's like, if they see those daily rips and then we see big fake out signals, we're gonna be like, oh, that's not good. The weather in Kansas, bro, you have no idea. Kansas is nuts. So it's been sick. So get it this way. So it was 10 days ago, it was ice on the ground, snow everywhere, negative degrees. Then it was just snow on the ground with like 20 degrees. Then the day after that, we had snow on the ground and it was 60 degrees out. And then a week later now, tonight, we're supposed to get a storm that's going to have a big snow, and then we'll have snow on the ground tomorrow. So it's a wild place. It's pretty cool though. I like it. I'm in Ohio, so no, I don't. Been sick the past 7 days. I think they're spraying the air. We've literally bought like Lysol cans and been spraying it. We're like, what the heck? I was really only sick for like 2 days, but it's just when you're sick, then a person next to you gets sick, then the person next to them gets sick, and you all are, you know, family. You're seeing each other pretty often. It's like rough. I haven't taken a trade in a week. It should take one, but nothing is at weekly expected levels, yellow. Well, so something to pay attention to is if we're seeing signals, like let's say this hasn't happened yet. If we're seeing signals in the middle of the range that say confirm a divergence from last week, right? Then where are you very likely to get to? You're very likely to go to the next week's upward expected move with these signals. Right, so even if I didn't make a decision, I can just make sure everything looks good. Maybe look for a little 15-minute pullback or something, right? Maybe because I missed out, I still want to be patient. I want to see that 15-minute build down to here and then just curl back up, and then I'd have a reason to be in the trade, right? I would have a reason, again, to actually execute the trade and then target something like that 607.50. Right, there's always a way to get into it. This is just, if you're looking at this in the middle of the range and seeing signals here, well, you want to be like, okay, then this would be a trade that targets a weekly expected move, not necessarily a using the weekly expected move for reversal, but instead using the weekly expected move as a take profit. But we'll see, right? We got to make sure these things stay curled up. Is this the opportunity right now? I think if I wasn't in it yet, this would be better, especially if I'm using that shorter expiration. Right, IWM starting to come back, right? This is great. IWM with the great signals. 2 hour confirmed, right? It's like, am I late to this, or is the 2 hour confirming at the top of the previous bar again, right? Is this just saying, hey, we've seen a little pullback, now we're seeing those buyers step in again. It's very likely maybe to head to 222 in these areas. Okay, now I can maybe make a decision. This has 2 hour divergence, so IWM might still be an opportunity now, and it would say, okay, but this most likely will be a daily cross up could happen. So do I want to take 3 days expiration for that, or do I want to maybe take a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, see a good move, then pull it back? Or see a good move to 222, see it pull back, right? Be able to make some money in there just in case something goes wrong. Give myself that extra time. Yeah, so I believe that was talked about in the taking profits section. Maybe not obviously talked about, but it's very simple if I'm seeing like a swing trade, right? If I'm seeing a swing trade that's in the middle of a range and happening on a Monday, and I'm seeing like an hourly, a 2 hour chart curl up, and I see, oh, this doesn't have divergence above it, it's in a positive trend. It's very obvious, like, hey, that 2 hour could cross up, we could go to the weekly expected move, and that's pretty much the trend, right? It's very, you just really want to simplify it for yourself, and it will really clear things up over time. Creating those very simple rules for yourself, very simple understanding of pretty much the weekly expected moves. But you want those reasons, right? Because I think what do you mean, Greg? What do you mean by mess with it, though? I take all my trades based off of momentum. But I am someone who just so you're aware, Samson, I actually don't like taking those plays when they're in the middle of the range. I don't like taking them too often. Trade against the overall momentum. I guess that's technically what we're doing here. The momentum is obviously down, but we go into the shorter time frames to show us when that momentum is weakening. Technically, you'd have to say the momentum is down, right? You'd be like, yeah, the momentum is down. So technically, if I was saying, oh, the momentum to the downside is really strong here, then I'd be bearish, 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 but it's technically the exact opposite. So I think I'm understanding what you're getting at here. It's like, yeah, the momentum's down, the media is telling you it's down, and we're going, well, you're seeing some things that say it could shift up, and then it shifts up, and that's where we make a decision on shorter time frames, right? Once we see that shift, I go, okay, looks nice. The market could tank at any time. I don't see it. I mean, this could be a retest that could fall down, but it's gonna be proven in the shorter time frames. That's why I like looking at multiple time frames. If we're gonna head lower, what has to happen? This has to cross down. And if it did, awesome. Whatever, you know, like if it did, we'd probably still see those reversal signals. Unless it's something crazy. Exactly, Jack Cat. It's kind of like an earnings, right? We don't know exactly what he's going to say. Is it being priced in right now? You know? Well, Bitcoin dropping by 4% all of a sudden. Just going down to a 5-day, though. Just like a 2-hour needs to pull back, it seems. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know who was laughing at you. But that was pretty... I mean, you didn't have 2-hour divergence, right? But when the daily crossed, you're going, I mean, 540 was a perfect level, so you're telling me you caught the exact top? It's possible, you just kind of use these levels right here, maybe? It's possible to make a decision. But if you tell me, like, you've been shorting exact tops and exact bottoms for the last year, then I don't believe you. Sorry. I just don't. Because you'd be filthy rich, and you would not even be on YouTube at this point. If you did that for a whole year, you would be filthy rich. But I ain't laughing at you. That sounds like a great... I mean, obviously, look at that. That's a great trade. I'm just saying, if you're telling me that if you're telling me that you're buying or shorting things here and calling things here perfectly, then this one was easy to see, so I'd understand that. This one, not as easy, just like monthly expected move kind of helped us, I think. Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. I believe in you, Greg, but I'm like, damn. Because if someone comes in and says, like, I catch exact bottoms, I'd be like, well, please tell us what you're doing, because you should be really, really rich if you're able to do that for just 1 year. If you could do that for just 1 year, every 5% pull, you get, like, what, 3 to 5 pullbacks a year? So that means, like, if you catch exact bottoms and take a 2-month call 5 times or 3 to 5 times for the SPY, you would be filthy rich. And exact tops, okay, so now it's 6 to 10 times. Whew. The momentum was gone at 540. I hear you. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just kind of like talking out loud. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not pointing it at you directly. I think you're paying attention to the right side, but like the thing that I'm getting at is why here with this 30-minute divergence, right? We were saying that's a weakness signal too, and you could see the 2-hour pull back, and then it became more aggressive, right? So what I'm overall getting at is like, what makes you see this here and see this here and go, oh yeah, that could easily be the crash moment. It can. Just usually you're going to see more bait than that. And I think this could be a bait. If it's going to be bait, then this might happen, especially if it happens all the way up until like Thursday or Friday, and then we get unemployment data. Right? We're still looking at this too bearishly, right? There are still bearish cases that can happen here. And it could be we make that right shoulder that could have been, right? At these levels, we make that right shoulder that could have been. We go like this, we do that. I hear you. For me, momentum's shifting up, and I'm looking at that upside for now. Oh boy, what a day. Only 9:40. We got a lot of time. Yeah, I'm just having a hard time because the momentum's completely dying out on the 30-minute. I mean, I think one more time would get you even closer to that center line. It's just dying out to the downside on the 30-minute. It's not to say on the daily scale you have to curl up. It's just saying it suggests a 2-hour move to the upside, some kind of 2-hour bounce. And we're getting that bounce, that's it. Like, right, we don't have to read into it too much. We can just say, hey, we're getting a bounce. We are going to make new all-time highs. Mark Dave's words. All right, here's what we're gonna do. All right, who wants their actual call to be written down, and we're gonna call you out what happens? Who actually wants to call, let's say in the month of March, in March, let's see, do we hit new all-time highs, or do we crash? All right. If you're willing to say, okay, so Dave's willing to say, all right, we'll write down some names here. Dave G says 620. We're marking them down, guys. I will call you out for this. I'm writing it down. SPY. By March. Oh, you're even giving a date. Okay, we're really going to hold you to it. 21st. Awesome. This is fun. Richard says yes. Richard, we got to write you down. Okay, FAQ thinks there's going to be bank failures in March. So you think we're going to head higher, and then we're going to head extremely lower. We hit a new all-time high in the OPEX week. We pull back. Okay, I got you. Where's Matthew? All right, Matthew. I got to write your last name because there's a few. Matthew Stanks. That's what I'm putting you as. Matthew Stanks. Okay, so new all-time high SPY until, and then aggressive pullback maybe? Or just pullback. Pullback in OPEX. And then who's that bank phase? So FAQ, I'm gonna put FAQ down. We're gonna say you're calling bank failures in March. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Slick Shot, but I was thinking October maybe for bank failures. Like we already see an aggressive thing and then we end up seeing some kind of rally for a while and then bank failures happen. It sends you dramatically lower, but I don't know. Either way. Someone calling some GME stuff. Wait, who really wants to be written down though? Onda? Let's write you down, Onda. Onda says all-time highs, new all-time high SPY. MSTR failure will become before a bank failure. I like that. Lock me in for higher low around 60.50. Ooh, that's a good call. Okay, that's interesting. Or I'm sorry, higher low or lower high? Sorry, one more time. Where was it? Higher low around 60.50. Okay, higher low or a lower high? Real quick. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say, but 60.50. Lower high. That's what I thought. I was gonna say 60.50 SPX. Write me down. Chris wants to get written down. All right, Chris. Oh wait, and then I gotta write down KGB because that's an interesting one. Chris, where's yours? LOL, bank failures. XLF is breaking out. XLF looks like it's curling up, doesn't it? It looks like a daily divergence could set up, but XLF kind of trying to base out right now, so it's kind of the 618. Sorry about that. 618 by March 19th. That's what it was. SPY by March 18. All right, we'll go through all these one day. Okay, Brian, we'll get you down there. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting plenty of people. It's kind of hard with everything in chat, but okay, 623. SPY 609 mid-March, then dropped to the 200-day. I kind of like that assessment. That is the bearish scenario. Jeffrey, that is a perfect bearish scenario in my mind. 609 SPY, because that would get you that, because that would literally be like the 2-hour bounce. The 2-hour bounce gets you to that 607 or even 609. Then you see that come all the way down. I think you'd want that to be less, a little more lackluster than 609, but we will write it down for you. Jeffrey says 609 for the SPY, mid-March, then drop to 200. Ah, this is a good time. This is a good time. Now, what is mine? I will put mine kind of over here at the top. I'll say Lucas. The way that this behaves a lot of the time and the way that the weekly are positioning, I more so agree with Jeffrey. I more so agree with Jeffrey that we could see this quick move to something like 607 on the SPY. Then we drop to the 200 and create 2-hour divergence. This is how we leak it into sell in May and go away. So more so, I like we see that big 2-hour move up, it completely fails, goes down to lower levels. People get very, very bearish with the options market, and then we see it rip. Ooh, you think a shooting star is coming? Dave, I already got you down though. We'll just leave yours for that 620. Calling a shooting star is like crazy. Yeah, I think in the early parts of March, it would be nice to see this 2-hour extend, then maybe get, or sorry, this is a 30-minute. See that 2-hour chart kind of extend. Then we start to see weakness with that Friday info, and we could drop again. Now, I don't think you want that to happen, so I'm kind of open to either that divergence or a higher low. But I think if we make that higher low or divergence, we end up taking out these levels and going up towards 620 by the end of March. March is known for sideways activity too. Oh wait, KG, I need to write KGs down. Where's KG? KGB, tell me your input again. Tell me what you were guessing for the month of March, or tell me your best guess, your best prediction. I just want to write down a bunch of predictions and see if they happen. I'm sorry if I didn't write your name down. Okay, Justin just wants Justin says VIX to 30 in March. Okay, wait, SPY, okay, SPY, okay, sub 565 by March 24th. All right, we've got a bunch. Sorry guys if you're not in there. I thought you said 507. I might have accidentally misspoke. No, 607. Sorry if I misspoke. Good luck, KG. That's bold. It is bold, and I'm down for people being bold, right? It's fine to be bold as long as you have reasons to analyze that way. And I'm not saying you don't have reasons to analyze that way. You do have daily divergence on the SPY. We talked about the ES having that daily divergence, right? Daily divergence on the ES. while we were looking at the NQ, and the NQ was showing a lower high. So you do have the signals for KGB to be right. You do have the signals that suggest Greg should be paying attention to if this upward move fails. All right, there are reasons for sure. So I'm not going to say you are right or wrong. I'm going to write those down and see what happens with the signals throughout the month and see if anyone can really read into this at this moment. I just want both teams to have fun. I predict the SPY will go down this week. Well, let's do a vote for that. Let's do a vote for the week. I gotta go to this and go to that. We can do a vote for this one because the market's just messing around right where it opened. So, you know, we're just chilling. I need to change my bit rate. 6800 kbps. Let's do that. Is this like not working? It's not working? What is going on? Interesting. What are you guys saying? Tariff decision day tomorrow? Yes, Joseph, and we'll see. And that's what I think could cause that 2 hour to pull back, right? If we need to make some kind of 2 hour higher low, 2 hour divergence, I think that's what we'd be paying attention to. Long into Wednesday, mostly SPY, PLTR, Tesla. Guys, don't make fun of me, but what's a shooting star? A shooting star is kind of like at a top, you almost see like a wick on the top, right? I'm not the biggest like individual candle person, but on like a daily chart, I would more so look for, hey, does this at the top, do we see something like, and I think someone was discussing more like we touch 630, we see that wick, right? And that means the body of the candle will be down in here. Right, so it kind of looks like one line down, right? I'm not the best at memorizing every candle, but well, Slick Shot, I think it does depend. If that ends up being a bullish thing, there could easily be a bearish thing the next day, right? He could give an announcement for Bitcoin that causes people to get bullish. Oh, this is going to be our reserve, and then oh, we actually see the 2 hour confirm back down. You know, this is bear market where you get flipping back and forth kind of behavior, and March is a back and forth kind of time. Left is under middle. Yeah, I just knew the middle one had that type of look, right? The doji, but kind of doji, and right is under. Hey, I'll be the one to admit I'm not the every single candle kind of guy. I don't know every single candle. But I do know what selling pressure looks like, right? If we see a resistance come in and you get a big wick, right? If you see big buying come in, like over with Bitcoin, it's kind of like if I look at a weekly chart and I see this, I'm kind of going, that is big buying pressure. That's mainly how I read into wicks and things like that. Right? I can call it whatever thing I want, but if momentum doesn't confirm on the daily scale here, then what does it really mean to me? Like, is this what we're talking about? You know? He was looking at a 15-second chart. Well, then I think he doesn't make money then. Uh-oh, is it? I don't know if it's something to be too worried about just yet. We'll see. It's just holding at the open. So it's boring. Shooting star, basically an inverted hammer, but at a top of upward trend, it's called a shooting star. Bottom, it's called inverted hammer. Thanks, Dave. Like one thing we always say on this channel is a lot of the things that I do are just based on things that actually help me to trade. I just don't think daily candle structure really helps me more than paying attention to weekly expected. That's all. Baba is interesting, but Baba in these areas, remember we were like, you know, a lot of people were asking me about Baba with all these gap ups. And what do we ultimately say? Well, right now, aren't you forming some interesting things? But if this gives it up to the downside, where are you most likely heading? Well, 120. This could get worse for Baba. In fact, I'm probably going to put up another line here. See where that top comes in. I'm going to go right there. 101.29 is probably a good level to look for because we haven't curled down this daily MACD yet. Now you can curl down this MACD, remain in these areas, slowly curl it down and still end up seeing that curl up. But another lower point I'd be watching is just, do we actually go all the way down to $100 almost first? I don't think that's the most probable thing. I think around that, somewhere around these areas, maybe a gap fill in these little areas. But if we do want to see that drop, you can cut through this pretty easily and end up down towards 101. Is this going to be some kind of thing that absolutely crushes Baba? Probably not. It's more likely to just do this and curl right back up. So really, we're just looking for this. Kind of like JP Morgan, right? A big drop that leads to, hey, look, we went below our white line. Do we take it back? Curl back up this? Okay, go make a new high. Try to keep it simple. Oh, that's right. We're going to do a vote. That's what I was trying to set up over here. It's just having a hard time loading. See if we can do a poll. Hello? Oh, there it is. See if it works. It's not even loading my stream right now. Yeah, it's not even loading the stream at this moment. If it'll load now. There it goes. Okay, now we can do it. Let's do this. We'll put the roughly 607, right? 607 downward was, let's say 581. All right, there we go. Have some fun with it. Bitcoin is trending with 1.15 million. JP Morgan wants more hustle after return to office mandate. We need more hustle and scrappiness. I'll just see if I can catch any data here. Fed is closing in on a $250 billion in losses because of interest rate manipulations and quarantining trillions of dollars. These extraordinary measures were used to provide the Biden admin ample cash to spend while keeping that liquidity out of the private economy. Seems like an opinion, but could be some validity to that. Apparently, looking at market tide, bears are in control to start the day. I wouldn't say they're fully in control yet, but we are below key levels. SPX below 59.50, then bears are in control. Remember, the control line was technically for the SPY at 600. So I think if we're below 600, then yeah, the bears most likely are in control. It's kind of actually our middle would probably have to take into consideration all this now too. But I'd still keep that 600 in mind. I haven't looked at put call volume today. Let's look at, or at least let's look at how people were positioning before it started. So for today, looks like key levels 585 and 600. And 1 point at 590, but not the strongest. Let's look for the end of the week. 585 is a huge level for the SPY if we test that. A lot of bearishness, 1.47 put to call ratio right now. Let's check the third week. That would be, what, the 21st? On the 21st, as of now, you have a 3.1 put to call ratio. Wow. At least to start off the day today, you did. Interesting. All right, let me pull up my chart here. Let's go with this, because IWM might be a hint here, because that had great signals. It's still holding. NVIDIA not looking good. Let me look at something here. Right when NVIDIA's not looking good might be where it starts to look good. Now it can head lower, but 115 is what I'm watching if we head lower. Lucky. What are your MACD settings? They appear to be different than mine. It depends. I mean, this is just, I keep it pretty regular, 12, 26, 9. Yeah, MACD is pretty basic. It might look different because I use regular trading hours if you use extended. And I click around on multiple time frames, so make sure we're on the same time frame. Is there a direct calculation of SPX price to SPY price? Usually they have a very in tandem implied volatility. So SPX is going to be a very similar range, very, very similar range to the SPY. We do give out the SPX on Patreon. If we lucky, we hit both. God, Hector. Oh my goodness, what a comment. Exactly. That's exactly right, Hector. It is, you're spot on. Oh, hopefully we hit both, exactly. That's the trader's dream, right? When you hit both, you'll like it. You go, oh, okay, we're here already. It's Tuesday, take profit. Oh, do I see a 30-minute signal? Okay, all right. Looks like we're taking a pullback down to maybe the middle of the range. Oh, we went all the way to the downside range. I like it, Hector. You didn't have a both? Oh man, I should have. But hey, more ability to be right? Then maybe everyone can get a trophy at the end if we hit both sides. If we hit both sides, then everyone gets a trophy this week. Maybe we should do that every Monday. We should ask, you know, which side you're feeling like we're gonna test. Should we do that every Monday? I need to put a little piece of paper of things to remember to do on Mondays if we're going to do things specifically for the stream. Totally see a downside expecting to move early this week and then going higher. I kind of see it more the opposite at this moment, but you can be open to it because of this 30-minute, right? We might need to see something closer. This is extended across. You do have some hiccups in it, so it would be perfectly fine for the SPY to want to do this first. Yeah. A lot of things make sense, and that's why it's more about trading like water, right? Do I still, if this is going to be bullish, it has to remain bullish. Leading economic indicator. Yeah, we got to see the test over time. Maybe I should keep data on it. Maybe I'll make a spreadsheet. That'd be fun. You gotta love spreadsheets, right? Let's see. Let's see, this is the let's do this. Date. Bull percent. Bear percent. Real outcome. All right, we have a little spreadsheet now. All right, this is the SPY weekly bull bear. As of today, today is 3.3.25, and we will see in the next, that will close down. How long has that been going? You see how long that's been going. 8 minutes, we got to give it more time than that. I'll give it more time than that. We'll stay on an extra bit of time just because there's a huge discrepancy here. 73% say bullish or upward. I know, DIA, I was looking at that on my other screen, Richard. When you take a look at PH, a stock that I feel is positioned very strongly, tons of acquisitions, and pretty much in every niche of the engineering world, PH. Oof, rough. If the daily can curl up, I'm happy. Did the 2-hour have any good signals? Trying to get a higher low on that 30-minute. Still remaining in the same areas, right? We see how that's holding, right? So we see that right away and we go, ooh, just be open to this first, right? But if this is an equal move, then you're probably not going to see that divergence, right? And this thing could end up going lower, 623. I don't like, I want to look at this on a weekly because that's gotta have weekly divergence there. Yeah, weekly triple divergence on your RSI with the double top. So you've got to really be watching if these things are curling down on the shorter time frames for this. Doesn't mean it has to play out, right? It doesn't have to, but if you keep seeing confirmations down and then you don't catch some kind of big rip from here, it's not just sideways or something like that. You start to close below this low, you have weekly triple divergence. You don't necessarily see that on the MACD at the same time, just rejection on the single one, right? So this could easily come down to here, pull back up, see some kind of upward move and then fail. Maybe we see something like this. Right, but as we see a potential for double top, we got to really pay attention to this low because that's saying, hey, we could head down to 560-ish area. Right down in here, I might even mark it off. Something like that would make a lot of sense. I don't like the look of the weekly chart. That's scaring me. But if the daily curls up, you can see good things. What did volatility end up doing here? No curl down yet. And SPY not showing the rest of that positivity. Look at February 28th, Doji candle is the same as the one showing up now on the 1-hour chart, same pattern. Okay. I'll look at my other charts real quick. What was it? You look at February 28th, Doji candle, and the same as the one showing up now on the 1-hour chart. All right, let me go look. Hourly chart, February 28th. You talking about the 11:30 candle? Because I'm looking at SPY, by the way. Possibly the 8:30 candle. Think Nike's cheap? Yeah, it could get cheaper first, though. Remember what we were looking for was this level here. Now this is actually really good though, because and this is kind of like where you just have to react. But if this 30-minute crosses down, downside, right? Downside, downside, downside. You're looking for that 77.46, maybe even gap fill down here. So you're looking for this block to come into play. But if this is going to be left head, right shoulder, well, we might even want to look really deep into the 15 minutes, see if that's positive. Well, it's positive in some way. So if this 30-minute isn't going to cross, that 15 minutes is going to have to cross up. Or reject right now and start to see positivity. But daily scale, you're like, hey, it's cheap here. Well, the daily's still up there and you're about to hit resistance zone. I'm not saying it can't go higher. This 2 hour is not showing any reversal signal as of right now. Not even on the RSI. So if you can make that little 30-minute divergence and then see that 2 hour move, you want to be aware of weakness as we get to a potential zone where some sellers could be lurking. Notice we get right up to it and so something to watch for. I need to both use my first two is around the 312, 315, but I think I'd be selling short. I have a higher prediction around the 330 mark. Okay, well, keep it in mind. You know, you've probably looked at it more than I have. I'm just looking at it almost like a glance for those ones. So hopefully Tesla is able to work out for you, because Tesla at this moment is showing 30-minute really big rejection of it. Look at this 30-minute, man. So you were looking for that reaction. You're finally getting it. The 2 hour, you don't have the best reversal signals though. Something for Tesla that would be good is to see that upside. If it's going to be really, really strong, remember we want to get up towards that 327 and curl down to curl back up. That would be fantastic. All right, we see this 2 hour able to get pretty strong. We curl down, we hold up by that center line. But if we see that curl down, we still have to treat it seriously, because this doesn't have to happen, right? The time is here, not here, because this could do all of that and then curl up and give you that actual divergence, where you actually see like a divergence form here for Tesla. And that's what I'd be looking for, but the daily is so beat up that it looks like it wants some kind of daily retrace, so that's why we're paying attention to signals like this. But it's important to note when we're talking about these signals, these times where I draw the curl down are times where I don't want to be bullish, because there are still risks if this MACD is by that center line. All right, if we're by that center line, we can easily test the logo, make a new one. But I'm more talking about Tesla in the higher low, just because if we see that big bullish positivity come in, a higher low would be a great way to head higher. But ultimately, you're looking at a daily chart and going, well, we're at the 200. When's daily momentum going to give me that snapback moment? Maybe try to test something like this, right? Breakdown area 328. Or maybe it sees a bigger move and tries to test 357. I'm going to tell you right now, 357 is very unlikely this week. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just would be a over a 2 standard deviation move. Let's see, because yeah, Tesla. So that'd be a so the only way you're getting there is if you get over. Or almost, yeah, over about 10 points over a 2 standard deviation move, or the weekly expected move. The large sell zone was not on my chart. Yeah, it's just something we drew up, and I need to look at that sell zone again, because we don't look at Nike too often. But if you look at this again, you're starting to see why we're paying attention to that, why we're paying attention to that, why we're paying attention to that again. So yeah, it's a nice thing to have on. We tried to use it as support before. That's why we drew it up. And then you made this big gap to tell us that that area is important. And now we know, hey, this area could be important. And we see 2 little resistances come in. So we drew up a zone. And at the ultimate side of this, you look at the weekly scale and you're seeing divergence, okay? Don't disregard that you're seeing divergence, right? We could just see pullbacks from that zone. Ultimately, Nike, as you said, looks pretty cheap here, right? Doesn't mean it can't experience bad things again. It just means to me, hey, the weekly's curling up, which means this potentially has the opportunity to be a good investment, right? Right now it is negative, so will that be some kind of move that then fails at some point? right? But it is suggesting that Nike for 12 months might be a good thing. It doesn't mean that you're free from daily pullbacks to go to lower levels, right? Go lower, but it does mean the weekly and monthly momentum is starting to shift in the upward direction. They're just, the monthly is just very negative, so you want to be aware of that. RGTI. Let me flash over to the SPY. Okay. RGTI, I mean, if you're looking at the daily scale, you're still looking for that to curl up, right? The worrisome thing here is this is one of the craziest kind of things ever, and you're going to see this, then you see this, then you see this, then you drop down, right? That would be pretty worrisome, I think. At this moment, though, we do notice that the daily looks like it might want to curl up. Do we have good 2-hour signals? We do not, okay? RGTI does not have the best 2-hour signals. It actually does have one. It has the RSI, just very, very slight. So I don't want to put too much positivity into that. You know, I don't want to be like, oh, this is a signal that you see at every major low and then you see that thing rip. No, that's not the case here. This is like it's very tight. It's not on the MACD, and the MACD is far away from that center line. So as a reversal, like to go to extremely high levels, a big ass reaction, you can get those from these signals, but it's less likely to happen. The more likely thing to happen here is you are going to need a higher low off the 5 before you see positivity come in, or you're going to see some kind of upward move for a moment and fail that. And you have to be worried about this guy. Looks like earnings are this week. So this week is going to be big for this. You guys know how I feel about earnings. I don't think we need to talk about that too much. Tesla, there you go, still holding a 2% move. Still holding it, just a really bad looking 2-hour. And AMC actually giving it up. So we need to see here if dailies can confirm down for AMC. If dailies do confirm down for AMC, then that is leaning towards lower than this low. And we do have the opposite side to this over on Patreon. If you want to join, this is the best time to join. AMC, we also have monthly expected moves for it. So this is what we want to be watching, because if the daily does cross down here, you can see how we easily can beat this low, right? We can easily see a day like that. But if we do this and we create that divergence point and then we see positivity come in, ooh, you're going to have a very significant daily divergence, and that would be very, very nice for AMC. But the crazy thing for me is I'm still going to watch this thing because GME still has it right now. Now, it could take its time with it, right? But I just want to make sure I'm paying attention to it throughout this week. Volatility, I'm going to look at you on a 5-minute real quick, see if we make a little 5-minute signal here. Sound, you want to look at SoundHound? And then I'm going to go look at our report, and then I probably have to take off. Sound, looking, this is the bullishness you need, right? You need that bullishness to almost look crazy and just like, hey, this thing is really seeing those buyers step in. So this is great. You got the pull down, you curl up into positive territory. That's huge, and that's when you see that positivity take the 5. That's nice. Get to the key level, right? Get up a little bit more. Even in this area, you can be okay with it. See that pull back and retest these levels, then curl up. You got left head, right shoulder. So 30-minute pullback would be nice as you're getting overbought. Take its time with it and then curl down and curl back up. And I think that's the next positive move. You're just hoping for no divergence up in these areas. On a 30-minute, 2-hour, look at that. It did have the divergence on the MACD. I don't think that was on the RSI at the same time though, so yeah, not on the RSI at the same time. It is extended across. Let me see if that's extended across. From this point, it is extended across, so you potentially have bigger divergences going on here. But daily scale looks like it needs some kind of rebound, maybe to fill some gaps. So at the end of it all, something really nice for it would be to get to here. I'm worried that if it does get to something like here or even here, it could just curl up and curl right back down. You just see this pretty quickly. So watch the 2-hour though. If you don't see any 2-hour reversal here, it's more likely to see higher lows. I wanted to see if the 5-minute was going to make another upward move for VIX. Good day, look within. How are you this morning? I've got 239 beans in me soup, yeah. But I'd be adding one more, it'd be 240. We never tagged the short-term GP at 590.47 on SPY. Careful on longs. Not advised, just sharing my play. Hey, that's fine. Yeah, always share your thoughts. Can we look at Kava? Yeah, we haven't looked at Kava in a bit. Let's go pop over to that for a moment. Very nice. I mean, very nice. Still holding the divergence at this point. So this should not be like the worst thing. Now, do I want to have a long at this exact moment? Probably not, right? We just crossed down. This could easily do this. But if that can flip back up and get back above these levels, take back the 2 hour here is showing forms of divergence as well. Yeah, holding on the RSI and the MACD, so this can get a reaction. Note this, very far away from the center line, so triple divergence is likely here. If we see something like this, don't be surprised. But that 2 hour divergence is what could lead into dailies crossing up. So if that little divergence is all you need, the daily could cross up here. If you need more time, then this is probably how we do it. You need some form of tapering, man. Like this thing is just, whew. You need that to go like down like this and then show you that it's going like that. Going to MSI all to the big homie. That's what's up, look within. I like it. What did I miss on IWM and SPY? IWM has great reversal signals. SPY has reversal signals. We're just seeing if we get the 2 hour move to the weekly expected move. Right? The most obvious thing that these signals produce is a good opportunity to see a bounce. But as it's early on in the week now, we created those signals towards Friday, we can see that 2 hour extend all the way up to 607.50. Right? IWM is in the same boat. It showed the 2 hour divergence. So IWM is saying I could see a better move, but still paying attention to weekly expected moves and that 222.60 for me. That's where I see it getting. And then I think we most likely need some kind of pullback. But the 30-minute here, the reversal signals for IWM have just been great. And you've held every single point down here on the RSI, which is very, very nice. If you start to curl down though, don't think that this can't fail, right? What if this already even played out? Right? What if this is all you get? Is some kind of move up towards these areas? So big brain dude. Hey, you just dedicate. The thing is, once you start to think of everything as interesting, you start to have better conversations and have better research and have better. It's just everything is great. Like I just read I've been trying to read an hour a day. And I keep skipping. I miss some days because I don't read too often. More so reading like. I read random testings and stuff like that online, but I'm trying to more get into books. And so that's something that I'm challenging myself with, but I'm always trying to challenge myself, always trying to get better. Realizing you're not perfect and being accountable for your mistakes, it'll make you a better trader. I'm just telling you. You're up, then smack it down. Kalani, it's kind of like that sometimes, huh? Atlanta Fed GDP now negative 2.8 from negative 1.5 on Friday and down from plus 4% a month ago to zero hedge. The thing with that is GDP came in less than. Okay, people are going to see that down, but the thing is that could cause the bond market to react to recession. The SPY or the market in general, or even say dumb money, does not have to react that way. Dumb money usually celebrates that. They celebrate the fact that inflation has been pounded in everyone's brain for what, 3 total years now? And then they're going to celebrate the fact that yields are going lower. The housing market might even celebrate the fact that yields are going lower, right? And people might even buy homes during that period of time. And then we could actually have serious unemployment, recession, some people mentioning bank failures. I think those are a little further down the line, but still we could see all those things unravel. And if all those things unravel, then you have other little things like the yen carry trade, then you have tariff stuff as well. You have a lot of risks out there, but people might celebrate the fact that yields are coming down. And that's kind of the trigger you're looking for. You're looking for that celebration, and then you're looking for the Fed to potentially aggressively cut rates as well, and people celebrate that even more. And that's when we look at, we look for those major topping signals. That's why monthly expected moves are huge to have. So please, these yellow lines, if anything, these yellow lines, guys, I know if you don't believe in weekly expected moves, you don't think they work, you don't think this works, whatever, at least put these yellow lines on your chart, please. I think it will really help you out month to month in understanding like, hey, what do the signals look like around this line and how am I positioned at this moment? If you just take that into consideration, pretty much looking at a risk to reward during the month with these yellow lines, I really think it unlocks you as a trader. So if you need that data for all of these stocks on the right side of your screen, we have it on Patreon, but I'm more encouraging at least having it on the SPY and the Qs. You get it completely for free. And this is all to be helpful. This is all to really say like, hey, this can help you manage that risk. It's a hard line that can help you manage that risk. We can go past it, but that's why I'm telling you, we look at signals around these areas. Right? We look for reversals. We look for 2 hours that are way up here. We look for dailies that are overbought up here. And we go, what's the risky thing would be if we drop? Okay, that's why they're so important. Even if you don't trade in the same style, you can definitely utilize them for risk to reward. You amazed me with the JP Morgan call. Hey, that's awesome. I mean, JP Morgan was the perfect play. JP Morgan was one step away and it could create this next. JP Morgan could. JP Morgan was one time frame off from having a golden setup. Isn't that wild? Golden setups are setups that have everything. They don't have 5 reasons. They almost have 7 to 10 reasons to take the trade. That's a golden setup, right? That's something we discuss in the course. Golden setups are fantastic. Golden setups are so fantastic that I take them with earnings. I still manage my position size, but that's when I take earnings, is if I see golden setup. I wish I took the last Apple one. I didn't have the balls to do it. It's like they know when I sell my calls. Well, they do. Have you heard of payment for order flow? you realize that's in the news right now, Kalani. It's been in the news for a long time, Kalani, where they literally paid about, I think it was roughly about $1 billion. I think it was Citadel. Or it was Ken. Yeah, Ken Griffin paid, I believe, around $1 billion in 2024 to get the payment for order flow, meaning he does see the data. Like people, they pay to see what you're doing, which should be illegal. In my opinion, that's my opinion. I don't think you should be able to pay to see what everyone's trading off of. And I especially don't think that someone with that amount of control should be able to pay to see that data, because it just invites bad things. It's another risk to reward. It's like, hey, this will be good for traders, but in real life, it's like, do I want to walk down that alleyway, you know? Well, what time is it? Well, it's, 3 a.m. and a bunch of people in there, real loud. Like, yeah, let me go in that alleyway. What it's allowing is him to see the alleyway, kind of, and it's like messed up. Starting to see some bounce in. I mean, the thing is, at the end of it all, like 5 minute is something you can watch. I don't put a lot of emphasis on it, but we can use it to be like, okay, are we consolidating or are we dropping fast? Well, you're consolidating, and the 5 minute can really clear that up and be like, okay, we're consolidating, getting tight again, seeing it still positive. So let's see if this thing sees an upward move too. 598.75. Hopefully that news just sees something crazy and we go to 607 tomorrow. That'd be great. Same guy that screwed everyone on GME and AMC. Exactly. That's why he pays for it. And that's why they route everything to dark pools. It's just that it costs money, though. Notice he had to pay money. He risked it. You still have to pay money for stuff. You still have to, in order to manipulate a stock, you usually have to pay money. Naked short selling, that's kind of a different story, but you still have to usually pay money in order to do this. That's why it's kind of good that the yen carry trade kind of unraveled a little bit, because it makes it more expensive, puts them at a little more risk. What creates the most amount of risk for them if they're trying to short GME or AMC is just if people keep buying it. Ooh, JP Morgan dropping. Remember, JP Morgan does not have a 2-hour base. Just remember, no 2-hour base. It's trying, it's doing great, but remember, the way that this goes wrong is if the 2-hour turns down. The 30-minute, though, I mean, it's starting to be positive, right? We don't see divergence. It's not even overbought. We're above this level here, 263.52. We can still come down below that and retest like 262.50. We still want to see, is this 30-minute actually crossing down and not able to curl up? Is it crossing down and the 2-hour is following to where that's aggressive? That's where I really want to be aware that these levels can be taken out. We could make a double bottom or something like that. We could not. We could just crash, like, right? This could. I think it's a lower percentage, but it still can. That's why we treat 2-hour curl downs pretty seriously on this channel. When they're negative, that is. Pretty much all the time, but when they're negative, we really are like, okay, I do not want to be, right? If something's in a bullish trend and I have a month out option, I don't necessarily need to be too fearful of a 2-hour pullback. But if I don't have much time to expiration and it's negative territory, I'm paying attention to it. All right, let's see how this, let's see how the vote came up, and then I will probably have to take off. So it looks like about 63%, okay, 63.37. I'm gonna write these down, 63.37. And then we'll look for the real outcome at the end of the week. All right, guys, I do have to take off this morning. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm off to lunch too, Richard. So thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. Hopefully you guys got something helpful from this video. Still paying attention to risk. We understand 30 minutes can curl back down. 15 minutes can curl back down, right? And it is by that center line, but still looking like, hey, couldn't this 15-minute remain positive? So we're just watching things, trading like water, making sure to keep our risk to reward in mind at all times, and make sure we're managing things and not losing big amounts of money, right? If I need to manage a trade, that's perfectly fine. I had to manage a trade, you know, somewhere in these areas with this drop with certain stocks. So I'm fine with managing it, and then I make the decision again later. So these are just things that we need to understand. Trading like water is being adaptable in the market, and we have some key levels for you to watch. So thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you have those levels on your chart, and I wish you nothing but luck with the rest of your trades. IWM kind of giving that up a little bit. See if that 15-minute crosses well, a little closer to the center line there, just so you are aware. All right, guys, I am taking off. Have a great day. Have a blessed day, Lizard. Same, right back off to you. And I hope you guys have a good one. Peace out. Try to get it in case someone wants to come in late here and get those weekly expected moves. All right, guys. See you guys. Have a good one. Bye, Bert. Bye, Luke.